The 2023 NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, and Truck schedules have now been released. We already knew most of the Cup schedule surprises, but the Xfinity and Truck schedules for next year are kind of insane. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. We're talking 2023 today. It's never too early to plan for the future. Everything was revealed yesterday, so I'm sure many of you have already gone through and glanced at the schedule, maybe circled a few important dates for next season. This video is really just a chance for me to share my thoughts, rave about some of my favorite changes or additions, and also a chance for me to vent about some of the things I don't really see eye to eye with NASCAR on. Should be a good time, but first, this episode is sponsored by my friends at Black Rifle Coffee Company. Black Rifle Coffee is a veteran-owned business proudly serving coffee and content to military veterans, first responders, and people who love America. They have a diverse product portfolio including whole bean and ground coffee, in addition to coffee rounds and ready-to-drink espresso beverages. On their website, blackriflecoffee.com, link is down in the description below, you can sign up for everything from single purchases to subscription offerings that will deliver great coffee and apparel straight to your door. You can also find their 4 varieties of canned espresso beverages at major convenience stores and retailers across the country, especially Bass Pro Shops. Visit their website down below to find a retailer near you and help Black Rifle Coffee reach their goal of hiring 10,000 veterans. At long last, the 2023 schedule for the top 3 NASCAR National Series have been revealed. Let's look at the Cup Series schedule first. Now, many of the biggest races we've already known about, like the Clash of the Coliseum returning once again, Daytona 500, February 19th, North Wilkesboro All-Star, Chicago Street Race over the summer, the Coke 600 being on Memorial Day, obviously, the Phoenix Championship. A lot of those things we already knew about, but here are the rest of the gaps filled in. A few notable returns. Clash at the Coliseum's back, obviously. Bristol Dirt returns once again on Easter weekend. We'll talk about that more in a moment. I'm happy to see COTA back for the 3rd year in a row. Gateway is back. I would hope so after selling out earlier this summer. The Indy Road Course is back as well, but NASCAR executive Ben Kennedy said on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio last night that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when the Indianapolis Oval returns to the schedule.
Yeah, the Brickyard 400 on the Oval was always, something special and such a marquee event that when we go back to the Oval, and, we will go back to the Oval, at some point, really want to make it, that marquee event that it was.
I like the Indy Road Course okay. The end of this year's race kind of turned into a bit of a farce, in my opinion. But considering how well the new car has raced at the larger ovals this year, I'd love to see the traditional Brickyard make its return. Hopefully sooner rather than later. It sounds like NASCAR's working on something. I'm sure Roger Penske wouldn't be opposed to bringing the Oval back. It's more prestigious. It's the Brickyard 400. Say what you will. A couple other notable similarities. The 10 playoff races remain unchanged. Once again, starting at Darlington, ending at Phoenix, no changes in between. The same exact playoff schedule that we have this year that we're currently in the middle of. So there you have it. Last similarity I want to highlight, once again, only one off weekend for the Cup Series. Now, I'm not as worried about the drivers. They can, for the most part, bring their families to a lot of the races. Yeah, they're living out of a motorhome, but I'm not as worried about them. Sure, NASCAR has a rigorous schedule, racing pretty much nonstop from mid-February to mid-November, like 9 months straight. I'm more concerned with the strain that puts on the crews, the road crews, the pit crews, the team, the officials, the safety personnel, people who travel week after week after week, then go home and work hard day after day in the shop. That is a non-stop schedule. Only one off week for the 2nd year in a row. We've heard a lot of grumbling, some concerns throughout the industry this year that a lot of people are leaving. Maybe not as many are coming into the sport. If that continues over the long run, that could be a long-term problem. I'm sure many in the industry aren't happy about racing on Easter for the 2nd year in a row, but hey, this year's race had an uptick in attendance and an uptick in TV ratings. It's good for business. NASCAR's gonna do it. The one off weekend is a concern. I get why NASCAR schedules it this way. They don't want to have too many gaps in the schedule that you ruin the momentum. They want to end the season a week or two earlier so they're not going up against the NFL as much at the end of the season. They have very reasonable reasons for compressing the schedule like this, but one off weekend as a result, I'm just a little worried about crews and folks who travel a lot getting burnt out and that being bad for the industry in the long haul. Looking at some of the new, we knew that North Wilkesboro was going to be the all-star race. That's pretty cool. The Chicago Street Course effectively replacing Road America, that July 4th weekend slot. We've talked about that. Another notable difference, the Indy Road Course date and the second Richmond have effectively swapped. So now Richmond will be in late July, and I believe that's expected to be a day race. So I know it's hot pretty much everywhere in July. We have to race somewhere over the summer. But Richmond during the day, I don't know, might be a little toasty. So I'm not sure I'm a fan of that move. One other thing that's new next year, Texas Motor Speedway goes back to one date for the first time since 2004. I get it. I'm not disappointed. I am a little surprised. If Eddie Gossage was still running the show over there, I don't think he would have let this happen. But for the health of the sport overall, and as someone who just likes good racing, I'm totally fine with only one Texas race next year. It's interesting. There was a report a few weeks back that Texas would be completely overhauling and reconfiguring the facility in time for 2024. Many, including myself, are kind of expecting them to go the super speedway route, kind of like what they did with Atlanta this year. But earlier this week, Racer.com reported that IndyCar and Texas Motor Speedway just signed a multi-year deal to stick together. So that all but eliminates any possibility of going into a super speedway, because IndyCar wouldn't race at a place like that. So we'll see what happens to Texas beyond this year. I hope they actually are going to reconfigure the facility, because the way it sits now is just not good enough. One Texas Motor Speedway date next year. Let the comment section rejoice. Let's move on to the Xfinity schedules, because Xfinity and trucks, to me, that's where many of the surprises are. Xfinity schedule. Portland is back once again. It's back-to-back with Sonoma, a couple of West Coast road courses, very far. One's up way up north, the other's down in California, but maybe it'll make travel a little easier on the teams. They're able to kind of just stay out there for a couple weeks in a row. We'll see. I know that was a concern this year, that going all the way out to Portland for a one-off was a huge logistical strain on many of these Xfinity Series teams. Maybe that's lessened slightly this year. The Xfinity Series, speaking of Sonoma, is racing at Sonoma next year for the first time ever. So that's pretty cool. Another road course on the schedule next year will be Road America. It stays for another year, which means Road America, while the Cup Series is leaving, NASCAR is not leaving Road America. They will still get an Xfinity Series date next season. Let's keep talking about road courses. The Xfinity cars will race at the Chicago Street Course. That's right. They will be a companion event for the Cup Series there. I don't know how to feel about this. I'm on one hand, I'm happy for these Xfinity Series teams that they're going to get to race in a cool environment, a big stage. On the other hand, I mean, these next-gen cars built more like sports cars, I think we expect them to handle the tight confines, the tough corners on a street course better than the old Cup cars would have. I don't know how these Xfinity cars are going to race on a street course like this, a narrow street course like this. I'm not sure. Originally, NASCAR was talking about IMSA making the trip with the Cup cars, and to me that made a lot more sense, but Xfinity, I guess it has the NASCAR branding. It's a bigger sell, I suppose. I just don't know they're going to put on a great show, so I'm a little worried about that one, but I must admit, my interest is at least piqued. 8 road courses on the Xfinity Series schedule next year. I think we've officially jumped the shark on this front. I'm a fan of road course racing, don't get me wrong, but I feel like we say this a lot about NASCAR. This is too much of a good thing. I trust the Xfinity drivers will put on a good show. Heck, some of the best road course races in recent years have come from the Xfinity Series. But 8 races, at least it gives them a slightly different identity than the Cup or the Truck Series. I mean, Cup still has 6 on next year's schedule, but 8 out of 33 Xfinity races will be on road courses. I don't know how to feel about that one. I'm glad Sonoma is on the schedule. I think that's really cool. Portland, we'll see. Chicago Street, we'll see. There's just a lot of we'll see. I guess I won't know until like middle of next summer if the road course fatigue, road course burnout, if it's actually real. Right now, I think it might be, but I'll wait until I'm actually in the thick of it next year to have a strong opinion on this one. One other notable change on the Xfinity schedule next year, Kansas is now the regular season finale. Bristol will be the playoff opener. This isn't a huge problem for me, but I prefer Bristol being a cutoff race. Like this weekend, tomorrow actually, Bristol will be the regular season finale for the Xfinity Series. And I think that's great. It's a dramatic stage for a major event. Bristol this weekend is a cutoff race for the Cup Series. I think Bristol, under the lights, should be a cutoff race. Playoff opener, I mean, that's cool too, I guess, but it doesn't have quite the same buzz surrounding it that cutoff race does. And I think Bristol deserves cutoff status. But there you have it. There is the Xfinity schedule. I saved maybe the best for last, or perhaps the most interesting for last. the Craftsman Truck Series. I love the red color scheme returning. Their schedule has a few surprises. For one, they will race at North Wilkesboro the same weekend as All-Star Weekend, but their race will be a points-paying event. The first points-paying race at North Wilkesboro since 1996. I got ahead of myself a little bit there. In April, they'll race at Texas. This year's race was, I think, in late May, a companion to the All-Star race. But next year, trucks will race at Texas in early April, a doubleheader weekend with the IndyCar Series. Cool to see that returning. Let's move a little deeper into the season and you'll see a big surprise. The Milwaukee Mile has been added back to the NASCAR Truck Series schedule. The first time any top 3 NASCAR series has raced at Milwaukee since 2009. That's a delight to see. So NASCAR's not giving up on their Wisconsin fans. Fans were upset that they took the Cup Road America date away and gave it to Chicago just south of the border. But Xfinity's staying at Road America and trucks are going to Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Mile. That's awesome. That's also a playoff race too, which is, I think that's doubly cool. Double cool? Twice as cool? That's a big one. There's one track you don't see anywhere on this schedule, and that is Knoxville Raceway. That's right, trucks will go back to having just one dirt race next year, Bristol Dirt. Knoxville, after what was it, a 2-year run, I think, is gone. I don't know, I can't say I'm too disappointed about that. Happy to see IRP, Lucas Oil Raceway, return for the second year in a row, and now it's a playoff race as well. That's the playoff opener. So the first couple races of the playoffs are going to be some special shorter track racing. I like it. No major complaints. A few little surprises in there. Mid-Ohio is still on the schedule once again, so that's always good to see. 36 points races for the Cup Series, 33 for Xfinity, and 23 for trucks. There you have it. The 3 top series of NASCAR have released their 2023 schedules. At long last, there's some concerns for sure, but in my opinion, a lot to be excited about. Many of the boldest and most innovative changes had been announced ahead of time, like the street race, like North Wilkesboro. But I'm glad that they saved a few special surprises for release day. Milwaukee Mile. That's awesome. Leave a comment down below. Which races are you most looking forward to next year? Are there any just complete misses that NASCAR overlooked when putting these schedules together? Share your thoughts down in the comment section below. That's gonna do it for this episode. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're closing in on 200,000 subscribers. I never thought that number would be remotely possible. Couldn't do it without your support, and I couldn't do it without all of you on Patreon as well. Big thank you to all my fantastic Patreon supporters for your continued support. We'll be back again soon. It's a short week because we got trucks tonight, Xfinity tomorrow night, and then Cup Saturday night. So I'm not sure if I'll see you again until the weekend, but I guess stay tuned. You never know what's gonna happen this day and age. The NASCAR news cycle is ridiculous. It's been a lot of fun the last few months. Thanks for watching, y'all. I'll see you in the next video.